Hi everyone, how are you doing today? I hope everybody is doing well, of course. And today we are going to talk about more abusive use of the government and government agencies and government officials towards the people, which is absolutely an abuse of power and reaching for more power that we, the people, need to stand up and put a stop to. Now, this probably will not shock or stun most of you, maybe some of you, and maybe some of you still believe in some way that the stomping of our rights, I guess, is okay for you. Those people need to move to a communist country because that's not what the United States is about. And again, the United States means united. We need to be united, all the people of all the states, and make sure that we hang on to our rights, use our rights, and make sure you have all your rights. Keep all of your rights, and don't ever let nobody take them from you, which you see more and more that these government, not just politicians and higher ranked employees of the government, but even the lower and sometimes even the lowest ranked employees feel like they can stomp on the people's rights or mistreat them or have really nasty attitudes towards them while in service of them. Again, all those people who think that they are above the people need to be knocked down off their high horses and removed from their government jobs because they are abusing their positions, which they give themselves power that they don't really have. And that has got to stop. Enough is enough with the horrible treatment of the people. Again, remember your positions and remember you work for the people. You are supposed to help and better the lives of the people. And if you can't do that, and you can't be a decent person towards the people, then you need to be replaced. Now let me show you pieces of this clip and see what you think about it.
Chairman, Ms. Monaco, I want to come back to this extraordinary letter and memorandum that the Attorney General of the United States issued yesterday. Practically every day brings new reports about this administration weaponizing the federal bureaucracy to go after political opponents. Frankly, I don't think we've ever seen anything like it in American history. I mean, for those of us who missed the McCarthy era, I guess this president is intent on bringing it to us, but with new force and new power and new urgency, unlike anything we've ever seen. Are you aware of any time in American history when an attorney general has directed the FBI to begin to intervene in school board meetings, local school board meetings?
I'm not aware, and I'm not aware that is not going on. Let me be very,
Really,
very
this
clear.
isn't about local school board meetings? That's not the subject of the memorandum? I thought that was in the memorandum.
The memorandum is quite clear. It's one page, and it asks the U.S. attorney community and the FBI special agents in charge to convene state and local law enforcement partners to ensure that there's an open line of communication to address threats, to address violence, and that's the appropriate role of the Department of Justice to make sure that we are addressing criminal conduct and violence.
At local school board meetings, let me just ask you this. Is parents waiting sometimes for hours to speak at a local school board meeting to express concerns about critical race theory or the masking of their students, particularly young children? Is that in and of itself, is that harassment and intimidation? Is waiting to express one's view at a school board meeting harassment and intimidation?
No, absolutely not. It is not intimidation or violence or threats of violence or any of the other BS that this lady is trying to state, but cannot show one incident or proof of it or answer the questions throughout the meeting because they are trying to intimidate us and bully us and threaten us into not coming to the meetings. by having the police bully or arrest us for being where we're allowed to be and supposed to be, and now having even a bigger threat of the FBI coming after you and filing federal charges because you are where you are supposed to be and at the meetings that you pay for. And with the police and FBI that are supposed to protect us, they're using them against us so that we get scared and intimidated not to show up to these meetings that, again, we are rightfully allowed to be at to give our opinions of what we want for our children and what we think is best for our children to be taught. And they want us to go away so they can continue to teach our children this gross and disgusting way of acting and living that they want to push onto our children of hate and ugliness and evil. That is not okay. And then again, they want to cancel the meetings or close them down early because they don't like what the people are there to say. And yet they are supposed to be holding these meetings and being part of these meetings because that's what they are paid to do. So if they are not going to hold these meetings, then they need to be let go because they are not doing their jobs and they are getting paid for not doing their jobs. So it is time to fire these people, especially when they ask an officer to break the law and assault and arrest people for standing there and saying, no, we have the right to be here, we have the right to be heard, and there's a meeting tonight, and you're not going to cancel it just because you don't want to hear us, which is what a lot of them were doing, closing them down or closing them down early or, playing games to run the time out so that not everybody could be heard. And again, this is what they're being paid for. So if you don't have time to hear the parents who pay your bills, then again, you need to be fired. Now, these excessive threats, they definitely need to be fired and replaced immediately. But let's get back to listening to some more of this BS and her not answer any questions.
As the Attorney General's memorandum made quite clear, spirited debate is welcome, is a hallmark of this country. It's something we all should engage in. And
no, I don't think so, Ms. Monaco. With all due respect, it didn't make it quite clear. It doesn't define those terms, nor does it define harassment or intimidation. It talks about violence. I think we can agree that violence shouldn't be condoned or looked aside from in any way, swept under the rug at all. But harassment and intimidation, what did those terms mean in the context of a local school board meeting? I mean, this seems to, in the First Amendment context, we talk about the chill to speech. If this isn't a deliberate attempt to chill parents from showing up at school board meetings for their elected school boards, I don't know what is. I mean, I'm not aware of anything like this in American history. We're talking about the FBI. You're using the FBI to intervene in school board meetings. That's extraordinary.
Senator, I have to respectfully disagree. That is not what...
Point me to an instance.
The Attorney General's memorandum made quite clear that violence is not appropriate. Spirited public debate on a whole range of issues is absolutely what this country is all about.
Then why is it being investigated by the FBI?
It is not. When and if any situation turns to violence, then that is the appropriate role of law enforcement to address it.
The memorandum covers more than violence. It talks about intimidation. It talks about harassment. So I'm asking you to draw some lines. We do this all the time in the First Amendment context. This is the sum and substance of First Amendment law. So I expect that you'll be available and willing to do it now. Tell me where the line is with parents expressing their concerns, waiting for hours in these school board meetings. We've all seen the videos. This happened in my state. Parents have waited for hours. Sometimes the school board meetings have been ended before they can speak because the school board doesn't want to hear it. And now parents are told that if they wait and they express their views that they may be investigated for intimidation?
Thank you. And that was exactly what I was saying. And not only do I have plenty of these clips on my channel, you can go back and watch. The lack of respect towards the parents or even other speakers that were there to speak on situations was ridiculous. These school board members were playing on their phones, they were playing on the computers right in front of the people speaking who asked them. Several of them asked them several times, can you please pay attention and stop playing on your phone and computers? And they continued to do it throughout the meeting anyways, which shows you the lack of respect they have for the parents. And then again, they don't get to speak, and then they get the cops called to remove them, arrest them, and so forth. And they commit violence against the parents because the parents want to be heard, which is their right. This is out of hand. And now again, you're using the intimidation and our money, using our money, the intimidation of the FBI and our money to pay them to harass us. Imagine that, people. And our money that pays these school board employees that, again, need to be removed ASAP to ignore us, harass us, disrespect us, and don't want to hear nothing from us when it comes to our children. And definitely have shown improved. They don't care about our children at all or what is best for them. So once again, the answer is they need to be removed ASAP.
I don't know who's telling them that, Senator. The job of the Justice Department is to investigate crimes. When a situation turns to violence, when and if a situation turns to violence, it's the job of the Justice Department and local law enforcement to address that. The Attorney General's memorandum simply asked the U.S. Attorney community, the FBI, and their counterparts to ensure that state and local law enforcement has an open line of communication to report threats, whether they happen in the context of election officials being threatened, whether they happen in the context of members of Congress being threatened, which the FBI responds to on a regular basis, as is appropriate. The job of the Justice Department is to address criminal conduct.
You know, all I can say is this is truly extraordinary. I think you know it is. It's unprecedented. You can't point to a single instance where anything like this has happened before. And I think parents across this country are going to be stunned to learn, stunned, that if they show up at a local school board meeting, by the way, where they have the right to appear and be heard, where they have the right to say something about their children's education, where they have the right to vote, and you are attempting to intimidate them. You are attempting to silence them. You are attempting to interfere with their rights as parents and, yes, with their rights as voters. This is wrong. This is dangerous. And I cannot believe that an Attorney General of the United States is engaging in this kind of conduct. And frankly, I can't believe that you are sitting here today defending it. I intend to get answers to these questions. You won't answer my questions. I'm going to get answers to these questions. Mr. Chairman, we need to have a hearing on this subject. We need to hear from the Attorney General himself. He needs to come here, take the oath, sit there, and answer questions. We have never seen anything like this before in our country's history. And frankly, I want to say I think it is a dangerous, dangerous precedent.
This hearing on Violence Against Women Act will continue. Senator Coons.
Miss Monaco definitely needs to be fired as soon as possible. She needs to be out of her position. This is definitely a reach for more power. It is a violation of our rights and our children's rights and our rights as parents. This needs to be put to an end, and fast. And any of the school board members, principals, vice principals, teachers that are okay with going against the parents and violating our rights as parents, or bringing curricular activity in that is unacceptable, need to be removed immediately. We need to fix this problem that has been allowed to create itself into this mess. It needs to be taken care of. And again, anybody who doesn't want to follow along they can be removed, and they should be. Especially when they have taken it as far as to involve the police and FBI that could possibly falsely charge somebody and ruin their lives just so you can get your way and try to stop parents from speaking up on the behalf of them and their children. They have definitely taken this to a whole nother level. And we have every right and more to be concerned about when things like this are going on inside our schools without our parents' knowledge or consent. I took this off of one of my platforms, and I'm not going to show anybody's names. My son's school vaccinated children today. I had no communication from the schools to tell me it was happening. The school claimed that NHS did not send the consent forms to parents. So they went ahead without asking the parents. What kind of is this? When did schools start having the power to vaccinate children? When did that change, and who gave them a right to do that? That I have never seen in my lifetime. And if things were going to change, then it definitely should be ran by the parents and okayed by parents. And when does anybody have the right to do anything to your children without the parents' permission? And children are not old enough to make that kind of choice because they don't know the long-term effects of what could happen to them. That's why parents make these choices. Not only that, children are very easily intimidated. So even if they didn't want to do something, by an adult, they could be intimidated too, which I've heard of this happening in this situation. So again, none of this is okay, and it needs to be stopped now. And here's some other situations. I've spoken to other parents in my city at different schools. They were informed their children opted out. Some of their children were pressured and guilted by teachers. Others were unbiased and left them alone to make the decisions. Depends on the school. Time to change. I don't know what her time to change means, but no, this is time to put an end to this. If you can't trust these schools, take your children out. Do not let them go back to school. It is too dangerous. Unless you want to put your children at risk, take them out. Nobody should have the right to make decisions for you or your children. Nobody should be pressuring children into making decisions that they are not even equipped to make to begin with, and then pressured into making the one that somebody is pushing on them. No, that is unacceptable. This needs to be stopped. These schools definitely need to be defunded, and the children need to be removed until they can trust to go back to school without having to deal with these situations, and the parents can trust that these kids will not be put into these kinds of situations. And I'm just going to read this one real quick because I think it's important too. Insurance companies are behind tax-sponsored vaccine mandates and are discrediting and refusing to pay for any treatments. Insurance, the industry that owns huge pharmacies and hospital chains, sponsoring politicians and controlling government agencies. That is this lady's response. And again, these are the situations that we, the people, need to make sure change. And one should not be grouped with another. And there should be no profiteering off of it. So again, people, unite, stand together, and make things right. Okay, I guess we're here at the end. I would like to talk more about it, but I would rather talk more about it in a group. I'm hoping eventually I will get enough people where I can start doing my lives and I can actually interact with you guys. So please join the channel so I can eventually start doing that and we can discuss these issues together. That's what I've been looking for a while now. And though people have tried to stop it and take my channel down, this is very much needed and we need to do this together. So please do the things that help me get more views and get the algorithms up, and join the channel, and please share the videos. Get this information out there to as many people as you can so that we can unite and have conversations, connect, communicate, and do all the things that we need to do to make decisions and figure out what our next step is to actually make the changes. So until then, I love you guys. I appreciate every one of you. Thank you for watching. And please help the information get out there. And let's push forward to making changes that are very much needed. I love you guys and appreciate every one of you. And I will see you on my next video.